this year. But then, to Kisumu County, and it's been 2 weeks since Kisumu City's ban on parking of vehicles along the iconic Oginga Odinga Street took effect. This being part of the drive to make Kisumu a walking city. We revisit this move from the businesses in the affected streets. There have been concerns that there is a sure way of killing businesses in the streets. So have residents fully adopted to the new normal? Kevin Ogutu is in Kisumu following up for us. Kevin Ogutu, good morning. So we are talking about new way of conducting business in Kisumu City, Kisumu County. Have business operators adhered to the new rules and regulations that have been put in place by the county boss?
Well, a very good morning, Brenda. I'm right here at the iconic Oginga Odinga Street in Kisumu. This is exactly 2 weeks since the ban on the parking of vehicles along Oginga Odinga Street took effect. And in as much as this is now a clean city devoid of cars parking on both sides of the dual carriageway that makes the Oginga Odinga Street, there is a serious cry which is silent, because a number of businesses that I talked to before we went on air were not really willing to be on record, for the obvious reason that there could be victimization that will come with it, with that kind of publicity. But the fact that there are the parking is not allowed on either side of Oginga Odinga Street means that they are no longer getting the number of customers or clients that they will get. Remember, this is one street that is composed of various businesses. We have got guys selling phones, we've got supermarkets, we have got those dealing with printing services, we have got uniforms, we also have professional institutions offering various teachings. Apart from that, we also have doctors here and other specialists. But now the problem is that with that kind of regulation in place, for those that I managed to speak with, one of them is doing a large-scale or rather a medium-sized sale of shoes, and also there's a boutique. But now the problem is that those who come with their vehicles cannot come in there, so they're looking for alternative places where they can get the same products. So this means that the Oginga Odinga Street will remain a beautiful street where we've got the cabros and the pavement. But now when you talk to those who are doing the businesses on both sides of the street, it is a totally different picture altogether. Well, for the pedestrians who, for one reason or another, are walking up and down, running their errands, it is a beautiful scene, because before that there was a serious congestion that was occasioned by the vendors or those who are selling their wares along the pavements that have since been converted into non-motorized transport. But now when you look at it, it's a shift from the picture that we used to have. But now when you get into the details, there is serious hue and cry from those who are doing business. So some of the suggestions that we've got, Brenda, is that there is need for those ones who are having personal vehicles to be allowed to stay for maybe 30 minutes or so, but the heavy commercial vehicles to be given maybe a shorter time limit because of the purposes of loading or offloading the various goods and that they're supplying to the various shops along this particular street. So in as much as we have this beautiful scene, what I have gathered this morning as we mark 2 weeks of this particular ban is that there is serious hue and cry. When you look at what is right behind me, we have the beautiful part of it. We have the construction ongoing. Actually, it's supposed to be really a green city, but this particular ban is something that clearly the leadership of this particular city or county will have to look at it afresh, because they say on the ground things could be different, and this is exactly what I have established this particular morning as we mark exactly 2 weeks since this ban took effect. Well, in the wisdom of the city management, those motorists are supposed to were given alternatives of parking on the back streets of the buildings that dot Oginga Odinga Street. But from what we've been able to discover or establish, this is not enough. But it is not all gloom, though. We have a number of initiatives that the county government is coming up with to address the parking issue. A lot of there is serious expansion along various streets that's supposed to give way for the parking and also for the non-motorized transport. But in the meantime, the total ban on the parking along Oginga Odinga Street is something that may need to be revisited, because from what I have discovered independently is that for the businessmen and women along the street, it is not that rosy. So that is the situation as it is, and if the cry of the businessmen and women along the street will reach the various stakeholders and decision makers, then there needs a serious review of this, Brenda.
All right, Kevin Ogutu, thank you so much for that. I need to bring KTN News Center to an end, but then I'll be right back in a few minutes, because they're going to be having an important discussion celebrating women here in the country, the achievements they've had and also the failures women have had, and what the government and what the men, the role they can play when it comes to empowering the women in our society. Are we a forgotten gender? Definitely not. So let's have that conversation after the short commercial break I'm taking right now here on KTN News Center.